So for today's video, we are going to learn about divisibility rule of 4, 8, 11, and 12. So let's proceed with divisibility rule of 4. When we say divisibility rule of 4, we have the rules. So first is if the last two digits are divisible by 4, then it is divisible by 4. And another one is if a number ending in 2 zeros, it is also divisible by 4. So let's have an example. So example number 1 is 360. So first, to check if this 360 is divisible by 4 is we need to get the last two digit of the number. So yung last digit ng number natin is 60. So what are we going to do is to divide it and then to check if this is divisible by 4. So for example, 60 divided by 4. So first, let's divide the digit 6 sa 4. So we have 1, and 1 times 4 is equal to 4. And then when we subtract it, it is equal to 2. And then we cannot divide 2 by 4. Therefore, we will bring down 0. And the next is, let's proceed to division. So 20 divided by 4 is 5. And 5 multiplied by 4 is equal to 20. And when we subtract it, it is equal to 0. So if the answer or the quotient is a whole number, then the digit or the number of 360 is divisible by 4. So let's have another example. So what if we have 100? Is this divisible by 4? Yes, because like the definition in divisible by 4, if a number ending with 2 zeros, then it is divisible by 4. Since our 100 or the digit ends with 2 0, then it is divisible by 4. So another example, 8,000. So 8,000 ends with 2 0. So therefore, it is divisible by 4. So that's how we check if a number is divisible by 4. So next, divisibility rule is divisibility rule of 8. So a number is divisible by 8 if the last 3 digits is divisible by 8. So what are we going to do is to do the process of division. And then next is, if the number endings in 3 zeros, then it is divisible by 8. So let me give you an example. So our example is 4,512, and we need to identify if this number is divisible by 8. So not unlike in divisible by 4, we need to check the 2 digits or the 2 last digit. So in divisible by 8, we are going to check the last 3 digit. So therefore, we are going to divide 512 by 8. So let's try dividing 508 by 12. 512 by 8. So 512 divided by 8. So first, let's try to divide 5 by 8. Since 5 cannot be divided to 8, we will add 1. So therefore, 51, or add the next digit. So therefore, 51 divided by 8. So pwede na siyang i-divide. So 51 divided by 8. So we have 6 8s in 51. And 6 times 8 is equal to 48. And then after that, let's proceed to subtraction. So 51 minus 48 is equal to 3. Then proceed again to division. So is 3 can be divided by 8? No. So if hindi siya pwedeng i-divide, let's bring down the next digit, which is 2. Now we have 32. Yung 32 po ba pwede na nating i-divide sa 8? Yes. So 32 divided by 8, we have 4. And 4 times 8, it is equal to 32. And then when we subtract it is equal to 0. Then, if the quotient is whole number, then the digit or the number is divisible by 8. So 4,512 is divisible by 8. So let me give you another example of divisibility rule of 8. So let me give you 1,000. Do you think 1,000 is divisible by 8? Yes, because the 1,000, it ends with 3 zeros. So again, if a number ending in 3 zeros, then it is divisible by 8. Therefore, 1,000 is divisible by 8. Another example, 10,000. So, 10,000, yung ending niya na zeros, yung tatlong last digit niya nag-i-end sa 0. Therefore, 10,000 is divisible by 8. So, I hope you understand what is divisible on, or how are we going to identify if a number is divisible by 8. So, now let's proceed with another divisibility rule. Divisibility rule of 11. So, to know if the number is divisible by 11, we are going to subtract the sum of alternating numbers in the given. So, if the difference is 11 or 0, then it is divisible by 11. So, to further understand on how are we going to identify if a number is divisible by 11, let's have an example. So, our example here is 1,144. So, how are we going to check if this is divisible by 11? So, sabi dito, we need to subtract the sum of the alternating numbers. So, first, we need to add the alternating numbers. So, yung alternating numbers natin is eto po, yung 1 and 4. So, kailangan daw natin kunin yung sum niya. So, therefore, 1 plus 4. And then, another alternating number is yung 1 and 4 natin, which is 1 plus 4. So, sabi dito is we are going to subtract the sum of it. So, bago tayo mag-subtract, we need to find the sum. So, 1 plus 4 is equal to 5. And then, the other one is 1 plus 4, it is equal to 5. So, now we get the sum. Now, we need to find the difference or subtract it. So, therefore, it becomes 5 minus 5. So, saan po ba nakuha yung 5? Dito po. And then, minus 5. So, it is equal to 0. So, again, if the given number, when you subtract the sum of alternating, no, and if the difference is 11 or 0, then it is divisible by 11. So, let me give you another example. So, let's have 40,000. So, let's try this one. 40,645. So, let's try if this number is divisible by 11. So, first is to add the alternating number. So, ano po ba yung mga alternating numbers? O yung parang alternate sila. So, 4, 6, and 5. And the other one is 0 and 4. So, what are we going to do is to find the sum. So, 4 plus 6 plus 5, it is equal to, so 4 plus 6 is equal to 10, and plus 5, it is equal to 15. And then the other alternating number is 0 and 4. So, when we add 0 plus 4, it is equal to 4. Then, what are we going to do is to find the difference of the sum. So, ang gagawin natin is 15 minus 4. Then, 15 minus 4 is equal to 11. So, the answer is 11. Again, if the difference is 11 or 0, then it is divisible by 11. Therefore, or dahil ang answer natin 11, ang 40,645 is divisible by 11. So, that's how are we going to identify if a number is divisible by 11. So, next natin is the divisible of 12. So, how are we going to identify if the number is divisible by 12? So, first is the number is formed by the last two digits in a number is divisible by 4. And the sum of the digit in the number is divisible by 3. So, para malaman natin if a number is divisible by 12, dapat divisible siya both 4 and 3. So, how are we going to check it? So, let's have an example. We have the 732. So, to check if this 732 is divisible by 12, first, let's check if this is divisible by 4. So, paano ba natin i-check if this is divisible by 4? So, we said that divisible by we can identify if it is divisible by 4 if the last 2 digit is divisible by 4. So, 32, kunin natin yung last 2 digit, which is 32. And then, we need to check if this is divisible by 4. So, divisible by 4. So, let's try to check if this is divisible by 4. So, 3 cannot be divided by 4. Therefore, we add or the next digit. So, 32 divided by 4. So, how many 4 we have in 32? So, we have 8. And then, 8 times 4, it is equal to 32. Then, when we subtract it, it is equal to 0. Since the answer or the quotient is whole number, then it is, the 734 is divisible by 4. So, tama siya. Next is to check if it is divisible by 3. So, how are we going to know if it is divisible by 3? So, if you remember what is divisible by 3, so what are we going to do is to add the digit. And if the sum is divisible by 3, then it is divisible by 3. So, let's try to add the digit. 7 plus 3 plus 2 is equal siya sa, so, 7 plus 3 is equal to 10 plus 2, it is equal to 12. So, pwede pa natin gawin yung process ng divisibility by 3, which is 1 plus 2. Saan natin to nakuhang 1 plus 2? Dito po sa ating 12. So, when we add 1 plus 2, it is equal to 3. And 3 is divisible by 3. So, therefore, 732 is divisible by 4 and also it is divisible by 3. And if both of divisible 4 and 3 ay okay or divisible siya sa both 4 and 3, then our 732 is divisible by 12. So it's very important to know what are the rules in divisible by lower number, like divisible of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, because we can use it in other divisibility rule. So I hope you learned a lot in our divisibility rule of 4, 8, 11, and 12. So thank you.